Hello, this is John from caveofprogramming.com. In this tutorial we're going to look at using Maven from the command line. This video is part of a series of videos on Spring Framework, and this is kind of an optional video. I just wanted to include this so that you can get a better feel for how Maven works, but usually we're going to be using Maven from within Eclipse, and you don't need to know how to use it from the command line. So don't worry if you don't want to install Maven and follow this through, then it's fine not to. You'll still understand the rest of the tutorial, but it's a good idea to watch this video just to help you understand Maven a bit more if you want to do Spring programming, and assuming you don't know Maven already. So Maven is cross-platform. I'm actually on the Mac here, and the Mac operating system is a kind of Unix type operating system. So some of the commands that I'll type will be Unix commands here, and you'd have to do something slightly different on Windows, although the Maven commands, of course, will all be the same on any platform. I'm in a folder here, in a folder I created called temp, and I've installed Maven and added the Maven directory, program folder directory to my path environment variable. If that sounds like gobbledygook, don't worry, because as I say, you don't really need to know it. But if you've been programming a long time, you'll know what I'm talking about, adding programs to your path and stuff like that. And that means that basically I can type mvn, which is the Maven program, and get a response from the Maven program. So what I'm going to do is let's just clear this. I'm going to type mvn space, and this is a oddly verbose command, but this is how it is. I'm going to type archetype, which is also not an easy word to spell really, but archetype : generate, like that, generate, and hit return. And what I get is you have to be connected to the internet for this, because as far as I know, this is actually connecting to the internet. And what we get is a massive list of archetypes, and as we saw in the last tutorial, Maven archetypes are templates for projects, which also include dependencies, which ultimately resolve to jar files that Maven will download automatically to build your project. And you see here, in fact, that that Maven is suggesting that by default, if I don't type a archetype number here, and if I don't type some text which would filter this list of archetypes, if I just hit return, then the default that I'll get is archetype number 280. If you're doing this on Windows, probably this will kind of just scroll straight out of your console. But on this Unix type terminal, I'm able to scroll up, and I can see that 280 here is this Maven archetype quick start, which is an archetype which contains a sample Maven project. So this is just a really simple, basic Java Maven project. So I'm going to just accept the default here. I'm going to hit return, and it wants me to choose a version number of that quick start template. So I'll hit return to accept the default. And now I need to provide a group ID for my own project, and this is just a Java package name. So I'll make up, just as in the last tutorial, I'll make something up. I'll say com.caveofprogramming.spring.test. And now I need an artifact ID, which, as we saw in the last video, is the identifier of this particular project that I'm going to create. So let's just call this, I'll call it test1 or something like that. That'll do. In the version, I'll accept the default and hit return. And the package, it's suggesting my group ID for the package, and that's good for me. So, and this is a package that it will put my code into. So I'll hit return, and it's asking me, yes, do I want to go ahead? So I'll hit return, and there we go. Now it's if we do ls here, this is a Unix command, we can see it's created this test1 folder. So it's used the artifact ID to create a folder, and you could look at that with Explorer on Windows or Finder on the Mac. And since I'm in a terminal, I'll just, on a Unix system, I'll just do find dot, and that will show me the folder structure. So we can see here that as in the last tutorial, I've got the same code again. I've got an app.java here, and I've got a JUnit test, app test here, and there's also this pom.xml that contains my list of dependencies. And if you wanted to add dependencies to this project from the command line, you could search the Maven website, just do a bit of Googling to find the Maven repository website. I think it's search.maven.org or something like that. And you could edit this pom.xml by hand to add dependencies and then build the project. And Maven would download the jar files you selected. And at the moment, let's just do more on this. So I'll copy that. And you could look at this in Notepad or something on Windows if you wanted. But here we see that we've got one dependency here, which is the JUnit jar that's needed because this archetype includes JUnit tests. So now, by the way, if you're doing this for the first time, the stuff that I'm showing you will take longer because Maven will download stuff from the internet. That's half the point of it. It's only so quick when I do it because this is not the first time that I've done this. So now let's go into test one, cd test one, and I'm going to type Maven compile and hit return. And at this point, it will download any necessary jars if it has to. I think it also runs the JUnit tests at this point by default, but in any case, everything's completely fine. It says success. And if I do find now, we'll see that it's generated it's compiled my Java code, the Java code that it created itself actually, into a class. And of course, the point is that you can use this as a template for your own project, so you can merrily add Java files as well as adding dependencies, edit this file and so on. The idea is that this is just a basic template to get you started with your project. And now let's go to the target folder and let's go to classes and just run this app.class just for the hell of it. So I'll say java com.caveofprogramming.spring.test.app, and there we go, it says hello world. So there's loads more stuff that Maven can do. Like you can package your code using Maven, although you'd have to define like main class in your pom.xml, I think. And you could also deploy using Maven, which means in this case send the archetype to the Maven website. As far as I know, I've never felt the need to do that, but it's possible, I believe. But what I'm going to be using Maven for in this course is really just getting jars. So we're not going to need to know any more about Maven. That's the whole thing. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to keep repeating for the first few videos. This is the free video that's part of a bigger course, and you can find the link to the complete course in the description of the video on YouTube below the video. And you can find my latest videos at caveofprogramming.com. In the next video in this series, we're going to actually go ahead and create a basic Spring program, which is going to be very exciting. So join me again next time, and until next time, happy coding.